It is such an honor for me to actually host this session because this subject is so close to my heart. And before, I think I also read the study, और जब मैंने ये पढ़ा, उससे पहले हमें खुद भी मालूम नहीं था कि औरतों के घर के काम की कोई माशी कदर भी होती है. तो जब पढ़ा तो ये एहसास हुआ. सिर्फ वैल्यू और रिकग्निशन पैसे में नहीं है, एहसास में भी है. सो इस मौजू पे आज हम बात करेंगे. मेरे साथ डॉक्टर दुर्र नायाब हैं जो कि शिया की डायरेक्टर हैं. शिया वेरी इंटरेस्टिंगली शी एक्सप्लेन्ड एज द गॉडेस ऑफ विजडम, socio-economic insights and analytics. She's also the lead researcher of this study that UNFPA has done, which is through the methodology of National Time Transfer Account, quantifying the work. And it also has a component where we quantify the value of caregiving work. So thank you, Dr. Durra Nayaab, for joining us. We have Ms. Latika Maske Pradhan. She's also the deputy representative, a very strong advocate of women's rights, gender equality, and she's been working on this for more than 20 years now. So thank you. I'm so honored to welcome you. Dr. Durra Nayaab, first I'll start with you and ask, हम bilingual रखेंगे इसको. मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ सबसे पहले कि मैं जब ये देख रही थी, हम अगर DVC अगर पहले चला दें, is it possible for us to just put 1 मिनट की वो जो वीडियो है? नहीं, हमने DVC भेजी हुई ना 1 मिनट की on the unpaid care work. अच्छा ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. अच्छा, हम ये करते हैं कि मैं आपको ये बता दूं कि हमने जब ये रिपोर्ट की तो हमने समझा और ये देखा कि औरतों के काम की माशी कदर पाकिस्तान की मईशत में 350 अरब से ज़्यादा है, 350 billion, and it exceeds that, which means that there is huge amount of work that women are doing and contributing to the economy through the caregiving work. So Dr. Durra Nayaab is also the lead researcher of that report, which UNFPA has done with the Pakistan Institute of Development Economics. So Dr. Durra Nayaab, just if quickly you can run us through the findings. 2-4 बातें कुछ तो मैंने यहाँ खुद भी पढ़ रखी हैं, but अगर आप बताएंगी तो अच्छा हो जाएगा. तो I'll start with you, जी.
Thank you, Mariam. Thank you, everyone. Let me give you 2 scenarios. In most of the cases, whenever you ask a female in Pakistan, especially a married female in Pakistan, what do? You usually get a response, I'm just a housewife. I'm just a housewife. Then you ask her, अच्छा तो फिर आप दिन में क्या क्या करती हैं? मैं कुछ नहीं करती, मैं कपड़े धोती हूँ, फिर मैं इस्त्री करती हूँ, फिर मैं खाना बनाती हूँ, फिर मैं वो जो मेरे सास ससुर हैं उनका ख्याल करती हूँ, और फिर मैं अपने बच्चों का ख्याल करती हूँ. बस ऐसे ही दिन गुजर जाता है. सिनेरियो नंबर 2, इस महीने का हमारा ख़र्चा बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया है, क्योंकि जब मैंने कुक को पैसे दिए, और जब मैंने लॉन्ड्री के लिए पैसे दिए, और फिर मैंने डे केयर के लिए पैसे दिए, और फिर वो जो मैंने नर्स रखी हुई है उसके लिए पैसे दिए, तो I was left with little. अब ये काम तो वही थे. एक केस में क्या है कि all those tasks are being done for free, and in the other case, you are paying for those tasks. So this study was mainly an exercise to quantify, to monetize the work, both men and women. It was not just that we were estimating only for the females. In some rare cases, men also do domestic work or are part of the care economy. By care economy, we mean taking care of anyone. It can be the elderly, it can be children, it can be even any sick person at the house. So what is the value of the work that is done by men and women at home, which is not paid for? और उसको हमने इकोनॉमिक टर्म्स में जो डिवाइड किया, वी सेड दैट वन इज़ अ मार्केट इकोनॉमी एंड वन इज़ अ नॉन मार्केट इकोनॉमी. वो सारे टास्क सेम टास्क हैं, it's exactly the same task, but when they are part of the market economy, हम उसको value करने लगते हैं. और वही काम जब मुफ्त हो रहे होते हैं, somehow we do not value what we get free. और you get the same thing in all these tasks. जो काम आपको मुफ्त मिल रहा है, उसकी आप वैल्यू नहीं कर रहे हैं, वही काम जब आप उसको पैसे दे रहे हैं, आप उसकी वैल्यू कर रहे हैं. तो इस पूरी स्टडी का टाइटल था मेकिंग विमेंस वर्क काउंट and giving value to all the unpaid non-market work they were doing as domestic chores and as part of the care economy.
Thank you very much. That's very informative. So I'll ask Latika, you and Nayab, both of you, this question, that how does this unrecognition affect? हम ये देखते हैं ना कि रिकग्नाइज नहीं है काम औरतों का या काउंट नहीं होता इकोनॉमिक मेन स्ट्रीम में इट इज़ नॉट काउंटेड but then how does this invisibility manifests itself in our real lives if they're doing work which has economic value but what do we see in our real lives? Yes, so Latika, over to you first.
Hello, yes. Yes, as Dr. Nayab already mentioned, it has, because of its association with economy, right? The unpaid work, the domestic chores that women do, and it's not an association with the return that you are getting in a monetary form, like in a monetary value, that's why it's not recognized, right? If it was giving money, then certainly that would be recognized more as an economic return. So that's why it is very, very important to really say, and she gave a very excellent example, that if the same work pays you money, then that is recognized because you are bringing back the money associated with the same work, whether it's cleaning a house, whether taking care of an elderly or taking care of your children, doing cooking. Like we see a lot of male chefs, but we hardly see women going out and doing the same cooking to get paid. We hardly see that, right? So the gender dimension of this invisibility is also significant for the reason that women are, the role of a woman to do the domestic chores are being not recognized, and it subsequently have impacted on how we measure our economy as well. If we are not measuring our economy, taking into account the work that women are doing which are unpaid, then you are not accounting for the 50% of the population in your country doing the significant amount of work that would have accounted for, as you already said, almost 350 billion rupees in an annum, right? So that is why invisibility is significantly high in the case where this unpaid work is not counted for.
Yeah.
Let me add one more thing here. I mean, being someone who works in the labor market, we usually say that women in Pakistan do not work. And why do we say it? Because we are only considering the market economy. It's not that they are not working, but they are not working in the conventional sense of the word, when we say that what do we consider work? That is paid for. And since they are not being paid for, they are not part of the labor force, and we say that the labor force participation rates in Pakistan are very, very low because females don't work in Pakistan.
Yeah, brilliant. No, and also we were just discussing an idea about a film around it, and then we just thought that what if we pull out all of this work from the household? What will happen? Like, children go to schools because their uniforms are pressed. There's someone to help them with the homework. There is somebody to cook the food that the men of the family are consuming. The house is being cleaned. When the house is being cleaned, by one person, it is utilized by everyone who is one way or the other, contributing. But we see, अब मैंने जैसे हमारे पंजाबी में कहा जाता है सारा दिन तू कर दी किया कर बैठ के सारा दिन ना, that is what we hear all the time, okay, what you do all day when you're sitting home. So what are the cultural attitudes, if I may ask, that we have certain gender roles and we see that it is a woman's responsibility, and we also see, by the way, that when both men and women come from work at the same time, been there, done that, when we come back from work at the same time, 9 to 5 jobs, women are the ones who go straight to the kitchens and start preparing for the dinner, and men are the one who's sitting in the lounges. Generally, these are the gender roles. I'm not targeting one gender. But how does it impact a woman's economic security? How does it, how are perceived gender roles are either reinforcing it and affecting the woman's position? They're unpaid, so of course they're vulnerable, they're more financially dependent. So how do you see it as a gender expert, Platika?
So Mariam, as you already also indicated, so gender norms and social norms is kind of created by a society for what a woman needs to do and what men needs to do. So it is so much normalized in our society. We were just discussing, Dr. Naab and we were discussing the other day that being aware and being educated are two different things, right? You may be very aware and you may be an educated, outgoing woman, but you may still go home and feel that certain responsibility is your responsibility, taking care of your children, feeding your children, or cooking home, or taking care, thinking that, okay, what I need to cook today, there's things that are, needs to go for shopping, for groceries, etc. So which is a very gendered norms that normalizes your daily routine. Even as an educated woman, even if I'm outgoing and earning by myself, I may still be abiding to that gender norms unknowingly. So that is normalizing it in a way that you are taking by that gender norms, you are accepting that gender norms, meaning that you are double burdening yourself, right? You are doing the external work, you are maybe also be involved in unpaid work, but you are also burdening yourself with the unpaid work that has become your responsibility alone. But the sense of making sure that this is not a responsibility of a woman alone, the responsibility, because earning is also not a sole responsibility of a man. Women can also be empowered, women can also earn, and she also has that skills and knowledge to do so. Equally, men will also can have skill and knowledge to do the household domestic chores, which is considered now unpaid labor and which is not part of the economy, but they should be equally able to share the responsibility. So this is how the gender norms are constructed, and that myth needs to be broken. That kind of a construct needs to be recreated in a way that both genders are equally sharing the responsibility, whether it's about the domestic chores, whether it's about external paid work, because we both are sharing responsibilities of earning for a household. In our current evolved generations, I see a lot of change happening. But it shouldn't now burden women for not being recognized how they contribute in a domestic setting.
Yes, brilliant. So not only that we don't burden women, we realize the economic value of their work, and we don't burden them at the same time. So these are the two things that we should be doing. Yes, Dr. Nayabi, I know you wanted to say something on the cultural norms. So how, what, in cultural perspective, when these norms reinforce this and their work
Cultural
is not quantified?
Norms don't reinforce by themselves, it's us, all of us. And when I say us, it includes females as well.
Right.
We reinforce these norms. These gendered roles are reinforced by us. I mean, I usually give this example that when a mother tells her daughter to iron her brother's clothes or give water to her, it's a female reinforcing the gendered roles. Brilliant. And that's how, these roles are perpetuated generation after generation, and we just normalize it. Being an optimist, I would say that I do see a very, very gradual shift coming. I do see some young men participating in housework, but the change is very, very slow. And I think, just let me tell you that this whole study was a very, very technical study. It's not as if these three women are on a renting mission, that we are made to work and you guys just enjoy your life. This whole estimation was based on a nationally representative survey, the Labor Force Survey, and the methodology is National Time Transfer Accounts. And there is a module in the survey, and then the survey was not conducted by us females. It was done by the Pakistan Bureau of Statistics. There is a module in which they ask that how much time of your average day is spent on these tasks for which you are not paid for. We calculated those times for males and for females, and then we looked into the average wages for those tasks. Like if you perform that particular task for that particular time in the labor market, how much on average would you get paid for? And when we estimated, Abbas is here, my colleague, he would love me saying this, market economy and non-market economy. When we calculated the market economy, of course, the contribution of men was much higher than females. But it was not as if the females were not contributing, but the contribution of males was much higher. But then when we calculated the non-market work that was being done by both the sexes, the men were hardly contributing, like hardly. And the few tasks where we could see some contribution, it was like bringing things from outside. It was, again, outside tasks. And if you put the market and the non-market work together, the females contribute much more than the men.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we say that women in Pakistan, they don't work.
They don't work, yes.
Yeah.
And brilliant, मैं audience की आसानी के लिए उर्दू में बताना चाहूँगी स्टडी की कुछ फाइंडिंग्स जो कि मैंने पढ़ी नॉन मार्केट इकोनॉमी में जो औरतों का पर डे रोज़ाना एक दिन में हिस्सा है वो 5 घंटे है ऐसे कामों में जहाँ वो जो नॉन मार्केट जैसे केयर इकोनॉमी के काम हैं और मर्दों का कितना है अगर मेरे ऑडियंस में से कोई बता दे तो खामोश रहेंगे लोग ज़्यादा 1 घंटा भी नहीं है अच्छा घंटों में गिना तो डॉक्टर दुर्रे नायाब से हमने रिक्वेस्ट की कि कुछ तो डालें ज़ीरो तो लिखना अच्छा नहीं लगता तो
ये लोग मैं आपको बताती हूँ ये इसको जब उसमें डाल रहे थे अपने नोट में तो वो उसको राउंड ऑफ कर रहे थे तो इट वॉज कमिंग टू ज़ीरो मैंने कहा इट्स कमिंग टू ज़ीरो बिकॉज इट्स इन 3 डेसिमल पॉइंट्स
सो फिर हमने कोई तसल्ली रखी है वो जो उन्होंने कहा बाहर से लाने हैं तो दही लाने का और धनिया लाने के काम आपको ही रखे हैं वो 8 मिनट है उसका काम वो 8 मिनट है सो डोंट वरी men do things but women do 5 hours of unpaid work which is at the same time I think it is very heartwarming for me to see and especially WOW this discourse that has been generated in this WOW around this hidden economy, I think it is so invaluable. It is so important for us to even start talking about it. Most of the women, जब हम घर जाते हैं और जब भी कोई खातून मिलती हैं और कहती हैं कि मैं कुछ नहीं करती, मैं हाउस वाइफ हूँ, जैसे डॉक्टर साहिबा ने फरमाया, तो मैं उन्हें कहती हूँ कि 350 अरब से ज़्यादा तो हम इकोनॉमी में डाल रहे हैं, which is huge. So coming back to you, Latika, we were talking about, this recognition. And we also see that because of a lot of work that women do are non-market, which means they don't get paid. Men get all the benefit, they get supported by the domestic work. They've been taken care of. Then they go and earn. And then they have the autonomy over that money. And women are pretty disempowered when it comes to financial stability. And we talked about it, the cultural norms. So what steps you see as a social norm specialist that can be taken to, change these cultures? Like Dr. Durya Nayab said, that there has been gradual change. But if you foresee that if there is some suggestions to bring about some cultural change, how could that be done?
Okay, it's a very, very difficult question, and very difficult even to implement an action, because changing people's behavior and mindset takes generations, because the way we think is inculcated from our grandparents' time to our parents' time to us, and it has to start somewhere. So the change has to start today, from yourself as an individual, and that should spread across a family, from community, as we also discussed earlier. So this is also a realization in itself, in terms of recognizing within a household, really making sure that you share that burden, so that you value the work of a house, because the household chores are being done. That's why you have that ample time to concentrate on things that makes more money, right? And women also have equal opportunities that needs to be given to women, because this also doesn't only create dependency just because women are spending. As I was reading the report, I also saw that the 1 hour that's spent by a man equals to 11 hours of the domestic chores that is done by a woman, right? So it's, when men has all the time in the world to concentrate on his work, to gain that expertise, to really contribute, whereas we as a women are struggling to manage our kids, to look after our parents if they are elderly, and also making sure that we are competing enough at work with men equally, who can give 100% of their time compared to we women. And there is this perception that women has to work even 100% more to be able to prove themselves, and trying hard to prove themselves each time. So I think it is very important that that social norm thing that you mentioned starts with you as an individual. And that means that and I see that there are a lot of men who are supporters of women, who help their mothers, who help their sisters, who help their wives. And that perception of, if I help my wife, then what will my mother think of me? That kind of a perception should be broken.
Yes.
They should be able to create that environment whereby they feel that this is not a less work to me. Doing a household chores or washing my clothes is not a work any less than going out and be a CEO of an office. It's as equal. We are becoming more independent and not dependent. So that dependency of economic earning for women, not earning, creates dependency to her man, means that there is not enough safety net. That is also discussed within the report, which means that you are not only not earning money, but also you are being deprived of all the other benefits that the going out and working will give you. A lot of safety nets, insurances, the old age payment, pensions, all these will deprive because women are not accessing that work that is counted as economic benefit, right? So there is a whole lot of pros and cons of it, which needs to be recognized, not only on a social sphere, but also nationally for the policymakers, so that these kind of gender-responsive interventions are reviewed and looked into whenever we have a program focusing on women empowerment.
Yeah.
And Mariam, I'll add here that, the consequences go way beyond these factors. I'll give you an example. We talk about low enrollment rate for girls in Pakistan, high dropout rate for girls in Pakistan. And when we estimated these accounts, we saw that girls as young as 10 and 11 were taking care of their younger siblings. This is one of the consequences of high fertility, which is, I think, hardly ever talked about.
Yes, absolutely.
That it brings burden not just for the mother, but for the younger females, siblings, that are there in the family already. Those girls, when they have a younger sibling, they are taken out of school. And I mean, it was during this study that I found out that we usually talk about absence of teachers, lack of resources, and lack of boundaries, and lack of washrooms. High fertility
Is also.
and taking care of younger siblings is something that we hardly ever talked about. So this unaccounted work, I mean, since the labor force starts from age 10, I'm not even certain that at what age it actually starts from. Maybe if the survey is conducted from, say, age 5, we'll see young
Girls.
even doing these tasks, even at age 6 or 7.
Oh.
And it's like a cycle. I mean, low employment, being at home, doing work that's not paid for, high fertility, and the females are just stuck in this cycle.
Right, right. And going back to, I think this is very important aspect also of not only fertility, but also how we see कि अगर स्कूल से उठाना है किसी बड़े बहन भाई को, बच्चे का ख्याल रखना है तो वो बहन ही स्कूल छोड़ेगी, बेटे को स्कूल नहीं छुड़वाना. So that's how, so coming, this brings me back to Latika's point. Latika, you mentioned a very important point, and I want you to talk, both of you, to talk more about how the government can actually, we understand that as a society, हमारा अपना किरदार है, we have a role actually to play to change the norms, but at the same time, is there anything that the government can do and, you know, bring any, about any policies or reforms or anything to recognize the work or something?
Yes, definitely, and Dr. Nam may elaborate more on, how can these unpaid labor could be recognized and valued within the national economy. But I would like to talk more about how the government policies and program could be more gender responsive. We have been discussing this since a very long time, and we are saying that every program has to be gender responsive budgeting, gender responsive programming. What does it actually mean? It means equity all across. So the very crux underlying problem is if we give women equal opportunity, then certainly it's going to improve, which means that you give women equal opportunity to complete her education, complete her skills and knowledge. That will give her employment opportunities elsewhere, which means that if you give women equal opportunity to get employed outside of her work, which means she gets paid, her contribution is equally recognized as that of a man. So, getting her in opportunity in that sphere is very, very important, but also not undervaluing the work that women do at work. I think that also needs to have a value because it has, if you really convert it into a money, it is quite significant, as Dr. Naib already said. Because if for the same work and labor, if you start having a maid at home, having a machinery or, to do that kind of a job, then it's going to cost money. So we know that it has a monetary value, and there is methodological thing that Dr. Naib can explain better in terms of how it was calculated. So definitely from the perspective of a policy and program, having a gender-responsive program where we can provide women equal opportunities is important. On the other hand, we also need to look into avenues whereby we can provide women, whether in a domestic setting or whether outside, not only for the formal work sector, but also in informal sector, how can we provide women with the safety nets, protection schemes, schemes that will ensure them for their health care, will ensure them for their other needs. So I think this will be very, very important to look into various avenues of how we can protect and ensure even the women who are significantly contributing through their domestic care work or learning work that they're doing outside of a formal sector.
Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Durenabji.
I mean, right now, this work is not included in the GDP. Some of the countries are working on it. And I would say, why can't we be the first country? Why do we always have to wait that, yes, such and such country did it, so we have the best practice? Why can't we be the best practice?
Yes, why not? Yeah.
And how can we change it? I think it cannot be done without a change in the mindsets. And since we are talking about role of the state, I mean, change of the mindsets, of course. I mean, as individuals, we have to do it. But since we are talking about role of the state, just look at how, I mean, we have PAMRA, which looks into the media policy.
Regulation. Yeah.
Why do we have, I don't even know, regressive, yes. Why do we have such regressive scripts for our plays? Why do we stereotype women who work in such bad light? I mean, just randomly, I like looking at ads. Just look at the insurance ads that are published. I mean, they show a young girl getting married and a young boy competing in sports. And it's, I mean, the tagline would always be, Bete ki taaleem, beti ki shaadi. Why? I mean, I'm sure boys also want to get married, just as much as girls want to study. So, I mean, we need to come out of these stereotypes. And I'm sorry, most of these stereotypes have the state's backing. I mean, we are so sensitive about little news coming on TV, but such scripts, they don't bother us.
No, so I understand you talking about the reinforcement of all these stereotypes जो हम ड्रामों, फिल्मों और अपने इश्तिहारों में दिखा के दोबारा से वो उस चीज़ को reinforce कर रहे होते हैं.
I mean, they reinforce these gendered roles.
So government का कुछ कर सकती है.
Government करे ना, पैमरा पे उसको इतनी तकलीफ हो जाती है कि ये एंटी स्टेट चीज़ है, तो उसको ये क्यों नहीं तकलीफ होती है कि ये एक इंतहाई एंटी जेंडर चीज़ है.
Equality चीज़ है. Good. That's a good point. Good. I think it is what I learned from this very insightful conversation is that not only it is important for us to recognize कि ख़वातीन का जो काम है उसकी माशी कदर है. ये सिर्फ यही जानना ज़रूरी नहीं है माशी कदर कितनी है, बट एट द सेम टाइम हम सब का ये जानने के साथ साथ उन ख़वातीन का भी ये जानना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि जो वो काम कर रही हैं वो बेकदर नहीं है. हमने एक DVC बनाई है, अगर मैं जवेरिया से पूछना चाहती हूँ कि वो चल जाएगी कि वो बिला मुआवजा सही काम मगर बेकदर नहीं है. सो वी क्विकली सी दैट.
मईशत काम से फलती है, जिंदगी मेहनत से चलती है. काम जो खिदमत के हैं, मेहनत जो एहसास की है, वो मेहनत जिससे खाना तैयार, घर चमकदार, बच्चे समझदार, कपड़े साफ और बीमार सेहतयाब हो जाते हैं. ये मेहनत बिला मुआवजा ही सही, मगर ये काम बेकदर नहीं. पाकिस्तान की मईशत में घर के कामों की मुआशी कदर 350 अरब से ज्यादा है. ये सब इन्हीं बगैर उजरत के काम करने वाली ख़वातीन की बदौलत है.
Thank you very much. So I would like to conclude this session now. Just one, अगर मैं Dr. Durre Nayaab आपसे और लातिका आपसे वो कहूँ कि कोई एक sentence which comes to your mind when you as women, because you both working women, I understand you've been through these cycles, and Latika hails from Nepal, which is also a very similar country to Pakistan. What is one sentence that you would want to say to our audience listening to us online and here present? One thing that you would like to say about this hidden half, the economy, and one message.
One message in one word is respect. Respect all forms of work.
That's brilliant, yes.
I was about to say something very similar. Recognize and acknowledge.
Brilliant. Thank you everyone for your attention. Thank you, Latika. Thank you, Dr. Durre Nayaab.